Okay, so let's get an update on your BTC chart and what all coins we need to watch if your Bitcoin pumps or dumps. Okay, so now let's go straight to your BTC chart. Okay, so as of now, previously we seen that your Bitcoin broke this resistance, which was kind of bullish, right? Once it broke this resistance, and right now it broke this big resistance, which is 26,658. If yesterday, if your Bitcoin kind of broke this support, we would have had a big shot, but it didn't do that. Okay, so right now your Bitcoin is here at around $26,817. Okay, so right now your Bitcoin can do three things. Okay, Bitcoin can either make a support on this support at around 26,658, and it can go all the way to this resistance being $27,474, or it can kind of break this support and make a resistance. That's the time we enter short and we ride it all the way to this support when your Bitcoin goes to $26,126. Okay, but if you see this scenario, the bearish scenario will happen only. It'll take a lot of time for the bearish scenario to happen, but for the pump, for once it makes support and to have this pump for BTC, it needs to happen right now. Okay, so if this scenario happens, it will happen right now. Maybe one more candle, and it's more probably going to break this resistance, this small resistance, which I'll show you on a 30 minutes time frame right now. Okay, so the scenario of the bullish should happen right now. Okay, so right now your BTC, for it to be very bullish, it needs to break this. It needs to break this big resistance that we are seeing it right on a 30 minutes time frame. Okay, so here it touched one time and here it touched the second time. Okay, so right now what it needs to do, it needs to break this. Once it breaks this, it needs to give that confirm, needs to give that. Okay, so right here we can buy it and we can ride it all the way to $27,474. Okay, so remember, once it breaks this, makes a support, you'll kind of give that small wick. Okay, that's the time we need to enter our longs right here. Okay, and we need to ride it. When it does this, we need to enter in all our altcoins. Okay, not only on BTC. If you're entering BTC, you can enter it right here. Okay, and we can ride it all the way to the next session around 27,474. Okay, so now let me go on a power chart to show you exactly, right? Well, seen it, right? Now let's take all this data and go into Ethereum and altcoin chart. But first, if you like content like this, just hit the like button. So even YouTube recommends videos like this for you. Okay, so now let's go into your Ethereum chart, and at last let's go and check which altcoins you need to long and short. Okay, with high volatility. Okay, so right now for Ethereum chart, if your Ethereum breaks this support at around $1,720, breaks this support, makes a resistance, it'll normally be on a 30 minutes time frame, makes a resistance, we'll enter. Once it makes a resistance, we'll put a short entry and we'll ride it all the way to $1,624. Okay, but if your Bitcoin is bullish, it will your Ethereum will kind of bounce this. Okay, we enter only if it kind of does this bullish pattern. Okay, over here on this resistance. Okay, it kind of gives a small higher high, again a higher high, and the next of the high low we need to enter it right here when it does this bullish pattern, or it breaks this resistance, make a support. That's the time we enter and we ride it all the way to $1,847. Okay, because you can even enter it here. You can even enter it here and kind of sell it right here. Okay, so now let's go into your next chart, which is your AVAX chart. Okay, so for AVAX chart right now, it needs to break this small resistance to go all the way to this resistance, right? But we kind of don't need to long it right here. We don't need to, I'll put it full chart. Okay, so we don't need to long your AVAX right here. Okay, only once it breaks this, makes support, we can long, or it does the second bullish pattern, which is a higher high, the next higher high, the next higher low, we need to enter. Okay, so if it does this too, we need to long, because it's more probably going to your next resistance, which will kind of be over here at around $12. Okay, I'll just put this at around $12 here, it will kind of be. But if it's bearish, we know that once it breaks this big support, which is over here, 1 2 3, break this support, makes a resistance on 30 minutes time frame, we'll enter short and we'll ride it all the way to $9.46. Okay, so now let's go into your next chart, which is your Solana chart. Okay, so for Solana chart, a bearish part, once it breaks this support at around $15.51, when it breaks the support, makes a resistance, makes a resistance on 30 minutes time frame, we enter short and we ride it all the way to $14.11. But the bullish part is it kind of goes back to this support and it bounces it. Okay, to go all the way to, you can say, this resistance at around $16.96. Okay, so now let's talk about your next chart, which is your dot. Okay, so for a dot chart for it, the bearish part is once it breaks this support, it's already breaking, but we need a confirmation from Bitcoin that it needs to break its support. Okay, so right now it's broken the support. You can see right here, it's broken the support. Okay, so if your Bitcoin down, this will be a good short from here. Once it breaks, makes it, that's now it's going to do a resistance and it's going to go all the way. It already did actually on the 30 minutes time frame and go all the way to this support around $4.24. Okay, so it's only if it's bullish, only if your Bitcoin is bullish, and once your dot breaks this resistance around $4.66, once it breaks, makes support, that's the time we enter longs and we ride it all the way to $5.011. Okay, so right now we need to watch your Bitcoin whether it's bearish or bullish to enter short or long once it breaks this. Okay, so now let's talk about your next chart, which is your Cardano. Okay, so for Cardano, it needs to break this resistance. Once it breaks, makes a support right here. We can enter our long side here and we can ride it all the way to around this resistance. You can see around this to this resistance, anyway, around 0.30 cents to around this one. Okay, around here 0.28 cents. Okay, so if your Bitcoin is bearish, only once it breaks, you can see this support at around 0.25 cents. Once it breaks this support on 30 minutes time frame, you know that it's even going to break this support around 0.24 cents. Once it breaks this, once it breaks, makes a resistance, that's the time we enter short, and it's more probably going to even break this support, and we can ride it all the way to 0.17 cents. Okay, this will happen until your Bitcoin is bearish. Okay, so now let's go into your next chart, which is your Algorand. Okay, so Algorand, we don't need to short long, but if you're long term bullish on your algo, this support that is right now at around 0.09 cents was in 2018. It touched here the bottom it touched, so we can't short, we can only buy it for a long term. Okay, we can't even long since we kind of getting that small pattern of buying, we're not getting that big volumes. Okay, but if you're long term bullish on your algo, this is a good time to be entering. Okay, for your algo. Now let's talk about your next chart, which is near. Okay, so for a near chart right now, if it only breaks this support, okay, let's take it as this support. Okay, so once it breaks this support, yeah, near at around $1.17, makes a resistance, that's the time we enter short and we ride it all the way to 0.95 cents for your near chart. But for it to be bullish, for us to enter, and your Bitcoin is also bullish, once it breaks this resistance around $1.26, makes a support, that's the time we enter along and we ride it all the way to $1.38. Okay, so now let's go into your next chart, which is your Phantom. Okay, so right now your Phantom, your Bitcoin is bearish, you know this will be good to short. Once it breaks this, make a resistance on 30 minutes time frame, we can ride it all the way to this support at around 0.22 cents. Okay, if your Bitcoin kind of is bullish right now, if Bitcoin pumps, we know that your Phantom is going to bounce this support and go all the way to this resistance at around 0.28 cents. Okay, so now let's check into your crypto trends and which altcoins we need to take, which has a high volatility, right, with the long or shorts. Okay, so now let's see OP, STX, then okay, so I already kept it over here ready. Okay, so right now if your Bitcoin, wait 1 second, let it load. Yeah, no, if your Bitcoin bounces this, we need to take some good trades. If it breaks this, we'll take some good trades. Okay, so now let's check your first chart, which is your render. Okay, so your render. Okay, so if your Bitcoin is bullish, it will bounce this support. Okay, your render chart will bounce this support and go to this resistance at around $2.27. Okay, so this is only if your Bitcoin is bullish, we need to enter this. But if your Bitcoin is bearish, once it breaks this support on 30 minutes time frame, once it breaks this, make a resistance, that's the time we enter short and we ride it all the way to here, to around $1.77. Okay, so now let's talk about your next chart. If your Bitcoin is bullish, we'll enter it into this position. Okay, so right now it'll kind of give a triangle pattern over here, give a higher high, a small higher high. Once a high low, we'll enter it right here. Okay, so was more probably going up to this resistance at 0.17 cents. Okay, so but if it's bearish, we can short this token. Okay, so we need to check on Bitcoin. Okay, so if it's bearish, you're going to give a higher high, the next higher low, and if your Bitcoin is bearish, we need to short it right here and we can ride it all the way to this support. Okay, at around 0.57 cents. Okay, so now let's go into your next chart, which is your SUI. Okay, SUI. Okay, so right now if your Bitcoin is bullish, it'll kind of bounce this support at around 0.76 cents, okay, and it will more probably go to your next resistance, which is kind of being over, you can say here, okay, so it's kind of being over here, okay, it's very close, so we don't need to we don't need to take a long, okay. Only if it breaks this support at around 0.76 cents, because the range over here is very small, right, from here to short to long, but only the short can make a big difference, right? Only if it breaks this support around 0.74 cents, big support, make a resistance on 30-minute time frame, we enter short and we ride it all the way to 0.65 cents, okay. So now you'll know which coins you'll need to watch, okay. So now let's go into your crypto news, okay. So Binance BNB chain introduces layer 2 testnet powered by Optimism. So as we know that there's no layer 2 on Binance, but right now this is the first layer 2 on Binance. We know the other layer 2s are on Ethereum, okay. So the first layer 2 on Binance they've introduced, and they've named it, the name is, they use it by powered by OP, right? The name is OPBNB, okay. So this chain, the layer 2 is just a copy of your Optimism layer 2, right? So as we know it, what it will do is Binance chain, the layer 2, it uses the Optimism OP stack, okay. So it's built for security and scalability for your Binance chain, okay. And this is the first layer 2 on your Binance chain, okay. So right now the Binance chain, if you see, the Binance chain supports 2000 transaction TPS at around 0.10 cents, okay. So right now while using this layer 2 OPBNB, it takes around 4000 transactions per second with the price of 0.005 cents, okay. So that's very low. Right now the layer 2 is kind of making it low for the fees, right, which is kind of bullish for the BNB in short, okay. So right now buying a BNB would be not a good thing, but for the overall growth, right, BNB is kind of releasing the layer 2, so everything, the more traction is going to come on the BNB chain, okay, which will all benefit the BNB chain, okay. So that's it for your crypto news and a crypto chart. If you like content like that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ping the notification bell on so you don't miss content like this and you're early to watch, okay. So peace out, crypto fam.